Happy New Year and welcome to Accomplished Minds. I want to wish you all a creative 2013 and taking step on putting actions on that idea. Accomplished Minds is all about finding and learning from innovators and creators of all kinds in all human endeavors, whether it is technology, business, philanthropy, social entrepreneurship, art, or just how to live a life worth living. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Cynthia Renée, the founder and creator of Cynthia Renée Inc. She has created a unique perspective which offers gem seeking clients a rare and flawless experience. Cynthia combines her scientific training as a geologist, the insight of a world traveler, and the creative instinct of a designer to form her colored gemstone business. Cynthia has recently been awarded for 2012 second place Manufacturing Jewelers and Silversmiths of America Vision Award. For 2013, Best in Show for the Palladium Division of the Spectrum Awards for her Owl Queen brooch carved out of petrified wood on a green tourmaline crystal, inspired by the poetry of Mary Oliver. And for 2013, first place in the Classical Division using Palladium Spectrum Awards. Congratulations, Cynthia.
I'm thrilled, thank you. And I'm thrilled to be here with the creators and the intrepids and so
Yes.
forth. Thank you so much for thinking of me.
And I have known Cynthia to form the exceptional custom work she did for my husband, long distance and across the oceans for our engagement ring, which was
Your husband was my first long distance customer.
really,
Yes, and since then I've gone on to do customers on Skype and so forth, but he was the first. So he sort of led the way for me,
yes,
the door to let me know that we can do a tremendous amount long distance.
that is great. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview.
Oh, I'm thrilled to do it. Are you kidding? It's my honor.
You're welcome. So tell me, Cynthia, what lured you to this colored gemstone business?
No,
What
it was when
what
I was
the
young. I wanted
attraction?
adventure. Growing up, as a little kid, I didn't read the romance books or the daytime books and so forth. I read books on safaris and adventure and by George and Joy Adamson, Born Free, the lions on the African savannah. Or there was a French adventurer that would go into old Belgium Congo and the things that he would find there with the animals. And so I wanted a life of adventure. And I was also extremely curious about why there'd be a mountain here or a river, in a river valley someplace else, what made rocks striped versus spotted. So I got a degree in geology and I combined all those things in a way that would let me do all of those things. I could have the adventure of searching for the colored gemstones, which is wondrous to do, and geology, because if not for geology, I wouldn't be working with these gemstones. And then the creativity, my parents were superb parents, and they would take us to art museums. Every Sunday would be some sort of cultural thing that we would do, sometimes just going to the beach, but art museums, and there'd be art books out. And so I would be able to use that innate, like creativity in me that was dormant for so long, use it in jewelry design. So I feel really thrilled that I am so lucky. If there's wood around here, there's gems, not wood, that I get to do what I do.
And you love what you do and you have turned it into a business that is sustainable for your living.
Right, it is. I do. I support my children and so forth on this, and we find a way to do it all. It's sort of, sometimes, well, I also grew up listening to Star Trek, the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
It says to boldly go where no man will go before. And my dad would say to me, you can boldly go, you can do that.
Yeah.
So, my children and I just create a way that works for us. If I do have to go away for traveling, sometimes we have ways to be able to support, our lifestyle within the house so that they're still going to school. And then they've always been used to me, even since they were 6 months old, to traveling. So we always say, you know what, you can really miss someone, but you can still have a good time where you are. So
That is really wonderful, Cynthia.
uh,
So the jewelry business is a billion-dollar US industry. What
right.
process did you undertake to identify your market?
Well, it was sort of accidental at first. I started my business in 1990 and then worked for another company 5 years before I started my business. So you have to think that I've had my business 23 years. So there's been some stops and starts
Uh-huh.
along the way and so forth. First, I started out all doing wholesale and supplying mostly independent colored gemstone oriented jewelers around the whole of the United States and with colored gemstones. And I would travel all around to all these places. I felt like I was Cynthia Appleseed, like the American icon Johnny Appleseed, planting seeds for my business wherever in every little small town that I'd go in. And I got to see a lot of America and understand how jewelry stores work. And I would do trunk shows. Like Nordstrom at the time did a lot of independent type work with where they would start and do custom type work. And so I'd be featured in trunk shows at Nordstrom around the country. And from doing that, I got to deal more directly with the consumer and understand how they thought about colored gemstones and what they wanted in jewelry. And most of them were females when they were there. And it just developed a niche for me. And at the same time, I was young, and I wanted to be taken seriously. And so I would write articles for the trade journals. I've written about 50 of them and do speeches for jewelers groups around the country. And from those, then independent collectors would just start finding me from around the country. And eventually my market changed from going all supplying colored gemstones with jewelers to working more independently with collectors and doing full custom jewelry for individuals that find me from word of mouth.
So you were down in the trenches and you build your credibility.
Oh, I would land a place sometimes. I mean, I was young. I remember once landing in Seattle with $6, and how was I going to rent a car and what was I going to do to get around? And Elia Jackson, the American gospel singer, said, it's easy to be independent when you got money, but to be independent when you've got nothing, that's the Lord's work. I felt like I had to be really scrappy and find ways, to build through. And sure enough, I would. It would work out.
Wow.
Uh-huh. But that was long ago.
But I think that made you the person and the entrepreneur and the artist you are today. That played out.
I think it made it tough. I was always very interested in pitting myself against obstacles and seeing how it would shape me and how I would come out of it. I picked sports like alpine mountaineering. It takes so much to get to the top of the mountain, so much within yourself, coming up against your own fears, your own thoughts in your mind, whether you could do it or whether you want to drop out and so forth. And I thought of myself almost like a block of Tuscan marble, and that I was the chiseler sculpting myself and taking the blows in life to make myself stronger, more durable, and more who I was, like bringing myself out of that block of marble.
As you talk there about marble, let me go into my other question. So then what experience most tested your marble?
Let's see, what experience most tested it? It's so hard to have one. My kids always tease me because I don't have a favorite. I have many favorite things.
Well, then choose one.
That tested it? Oh, my heavens. I'm being stuck right now for an answer on that. Landing in the cities, like in Seattle once, that certainly tested it and found a way to be able to get through that and go in and make big sales and be able to handle it and come out of that. Managing money, I think, really did a lot over a long term, learning how to manage that and how to handle cash flow. I had children late in life, but in my 30s and early 40s, I'd say, people say you grow up when you have children. You grow up when you learn to manage cash flow.
I love that. You grew up when you learned to manage cash flow. And how did you learn to manage cash flow? Did you go to a course? Did you, for advice,
Go to courses. And then when I would go to jewelry stores where they seemed to have a successful system, I would talk to their bookkeeper and ask how they managed things. Some of them gave me ideas for sheets on what to do weekly. So I do a weekly forecast. I still do weekly forecasts, and I do weekly budgeting with my home. And if I don't do it weekly, then I lose track of it. So it requires some discipline. Just like I set a weekly compass for my week on what I want to accomplish. So track of what the 3 or 4 main things are. And at the end of every day, I make the next day's schedule any adjustments that I need to do to it. If I don't wake up with knowing what I'm going to do, then I turn around in a circle like the way a dog does when it needs to lay. I just turn and turn, and I can't waste the time doing that.
Yeah. So many of us can't. So what is one thing would you repeat and recommend to anyone in your life or your business?
You mean a function? There's so many different things, but I think that you should have lunch with your girlfriends at least twice a month so you can laugh.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I really am trying to do and am doing because there's so much work as a single mother and running a business. You need
Yeah.
to laugh, you know? And then the other thing is this, if you could set for your week a schedule of what you would do, like divide up the certain types of tasks that you do,
Uh-huh.
you know, your most important task for the day.
Mm.
And I do have design time on it and money management time and scheduling time and client time. And I block in on my Outlook
Uh-huh.
each week what those times are. And then on Friday, I look at what I set my weekly compass for the next week, what I need to accomplish. And I sometimes need to jiggle those things around a little bit, but I then put them on my calendar. And every day I have a whole calendar. I print a daily calendar and I write on it what it is that I've accomplished and what I'm going to do at what time period. I'm so much happier since I started doing that.
Mm.
The things done that I want to get done instead of the things that just seem like they're urgent but really aren't very important.
So you prioritize, and it's come like everybody's in your vision and your vision map in your week or in your days.
Changed my life. It's changed how grumpy I am with my kid. It's changed my sense of feeling pressure from the outside. I feel I've always thought that you don't wait for your ship to come in, you swim out to your ship,
Yeah.
but there's all this stuff in the water trying to swim to my ship. And now it's pretty clear where my ship is and I can take a current that will take me to my ship.
Yes. Yeah.
And accomplishing, I do have to say that. You give me a goal and I'm like a bird dog, I want to. So I have to be careful I don't have too many goals at the same time or else they can conflict and it takes too long and I won't actually achieve it as quickly as I would if I would go more slowly.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So can you give us two critical pieces of advice that you wish you knew before starting your business?
Oh, sometimes I wonder, would I do this again? And I think, yes, I would. So what would I do differently?
Yes.
So I started my business when I was about 30, and I wanted to have that life of adventure. So instead of always reinvesting back and buying more gems, I would spend some of my money to go have adventures. I would probably not have as many adventures at first and reinvest back into the business more at first so then I can have sustained adventures over a longer period of time. But you don't think of that when you're 30. And the second piece of advice, what would I do differently? I don't think there's not much I would do differently in my life. Maybe I would not be as snippy to my mother. But other than that, I feel like I've lived such a charmed, blessed life and that I would have children then at 43 and 46 after having such a life of achievement and adventure. I mean, what more could I ask for? It's tremendous.
That is so wonderful that you are living your life that you ever dreamed of.
Well, I've always written a vision statement each year about just for a page, and it starts with how I want to feel. It doesn't mean that, okay, I want a Mercedes and I need to have this kind of a house in this neighborhood, but it's how I want to feel. And I started with the light in my house, what I wanted the light to look like and how I wanted the windows to reflect the light. Things with my family and with my business. And that's different from the goals that I write for my business. It's just a vision of how I want to feel. And, by gosh, Laurina, if you read those, a few times for a few weeks at first, and then you start to put them away, they come true, don't
Yeah,
they?
they do. They certainly do. That I believe before all years day, I was looking back on something I written back in 2008. And I'm just amazed that I achieved some of those things, like, starting my own business, because I just written, but I need to start a business. And
Yeah.
here am I have started two businesses. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing, losing weight by such and such time, all these things you look back on.
Yes. It
And
really,
it's so key to write.
pardon?
It's so key to write it down like you do.
and then you have to read. I think you have to read. I tend to read them every day for a few weeks, and then maybe I read them every other day, and then they get put to a drawer, and then pull them out again. And I've kept them all. Isn't it amazing? And if you leave enough space, this is what's really, leave enough space in your description for your life to come out better than you think it can be in your limited imagination. Like I put in about 1999 that I was looking, for a mate, and perhaps would have children that I'd be close to. It never occurred to me that I could have my own children, So the spaces got filled in better than I even thought so. So be clear about what you want, but leave enough space for God to fill the details.
Yeah, wow, that's a good piece of advice there. I notice your company slogan is called Inherit the Earth. Can you expand on that for us?
Because I think that the Earth's jewels and the gemstones that come out of it, they're like all of us. We all descend from an exploded star, don't we? An exploding But they're really concentrated within those particularly beautiful, clear gemstones, and that we're the custodians of them, and that by wearing them or holding them or collecting them, we inherit that beautiful power and immensity of the earth and really of the universe. And of course, then the inherent within that is that these gems and jewelry will be passed down through the generations, and that others inherit them, that it's something that we have inherit the power of them now, but others will inherit it afterwards. And I also do think like something, happens to a woman like by her mid 30s and late 30s, that she's been through enough challenges, she rises to them, she finds that she really begins to walk on the earth, and she inherits that beauty and power of the earth, whether or not she wears jewelry, and gemstones though are one way to hold that beauty in a concentrated form.
That is so beautiful. And you bring it to life in your art and in your creation of each gem for each client.
Yes, it's very one-on-one with the clients, and very much intuiting when I do custom work, the full custom work, what it is that I really work with the client. I don't just slap jewelry on them. I listen to them and their stories, and everybody has their own kind of an energy or something that's important to them. So when we do full custom work, I bring a lot of iconography from a client's life into the piece of jewelry. There's a ring that I'm doing now for a Romanian woman, and she was so close to her grandmother, and I asked about growing up there, and so we're working into it, carvings of her grandmother's Romanian garden of the roses and cherries and walnuts and pears and the leaves from it. And then she went on a kind of a sojourn to a monastery in Spain that had these twisted columns, and on one side of the shank there's the twisted column and the other side a straight column. So this ring will be very much hers and speak to her and her life.
Wow.
That's just the newest one. We were working on it yesterday.
That's incredible. That's really good that it's not just another piece of jewelry, but it has meaning behind it and a story.
Anything inside it. And we work on Skype to do this one.
Oh, really?
Muglia. Yeah.
So, Cynthia, what are you incredibly grateful for?
My children. And I'm grateful for having a positive, tenacious personality. Seems like no matter what knocks I have, I get up again. And I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful for my parents for being able to instill within not just me, but all their children, reverence for life and the freedom to the life that's true for us. When I see my kids at night over their beds sleeping, I say a little prayer to God, please help them to live their truest life, because there's so many choices that we can make in life. And there's some, that would work for us pretty well, but there are some that are more true than others, and maybe one that's ultimately true. And I hope they feel that strength and grace and freedom to live their truest life. And I have to say that's what I'm doing. And I'm really grateful for those that have helped me do that.
That is so amazing. What has been a constant theme in your artistic journey?
In the artistic journey or the business or life journey?
Let's focus on your business.
Okay, okay, for the business, it was I always wanted to define, like starting with that block of marble and sculpting my own life and my own self and learning how I am in all these different situations. That's been a constant theme. But then I thought back to the theme that's in creation, which is always it's pulling back the veil. What's underneath? What's the meaning of something? What is really trying to be said here? Even if I'm doing a classic 3-stone ring, how can we do it in a way that isn't different for the sake of being different, or ooh, look at this, look what I can do, isn't it tricky? But it's real subtle things in a way that really speak to the client and bring out the greatest beauty of client and gems. So it's the uncovering, the mystery. I love the mystery in life.
Mystery in life, going deeper. You remind me of an impressionist painter.
Ah, thank you. I love the
I
impressionists.
love that era of painting.
Me too, where they're using, color and form,
Yes, and nature.
thing that there's no other way to say.
Yeah.
I went to a Matisse exhibit at the MoMA in New York about 3 years ago, and it was Matisse in Spain. And I took a lot of notes, and I thought I would love to do a collection of jewelry just based on this exhibit, Matisse in Spain. Being inspired by certain paintings,
Yeah.
colors, and how I could translate that to jewelry. I haven't done that yet. I went into the direction with the poetry of, Mary Oliver,
Yeah.
but I think that would be next.
So what is next on the agenda for Cynthia Renée? What's next?
On January 20th, it was the first luxe destination wellness spa in America called the Golden Door. And I'm their featured artist there for the week of January 20th. And it's just a small group of women, about 20 women, and it's very luxe and very posh. And I give them a speech on the jewel in the soul, or my life in jewels, and have my jewelry there in the boutique. And that's a wonderful opportunity. It's around where I grew up, and it's in the hills that I get a walk that inspired me to be a geology. It's very close to my home. And after that, then there's the Tucson Gem Show, which I've been to for every year for 30 years. And so it's like a big rendezvous of all of us in the gem world internationally.
Okay. Well, that is great. And what message would you like to leave behind for people with your business or with Cynthia Renée, her gemstone? What message?
Atta girl. Atta girl. And
Not a
you
girl.
just this girl, every girl. Atta girl. You can do it.
It's so true. You definitely can do it.
Do it.
Cynthia, thank you so much for taking time out.
Thank you so much for taking time. It is such a pleasure. I've looked so forward to speaking to you and doing this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please view some of Cynthia's spectacular work. If you'd like to see more, subscribe to accomplishminds.com.